Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now the end of August of 2022, and that means we're only getting closer to other Star Wars TV shows out there like Star Wars Andor and Tales of the Jedi by Disney and Lucasfilm. And not only that, we also have Disney Plus Day and D23 to look forward to, because those two major events are going to be the home of a lot of announcements to arrive on Disney Plus. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new Star Wars universe is that we have a lot of things happening at once. We have a lot of TV shows that are currently in the works, we have a lot of books and comics that are going to enhance the experience, that's really going to fill in the gaps. So at the end of the day, when we look at what's been going on behind the scenes between John, George, and Dave, they are working together as this big trio, this big team, if you will, to set things right, to turn things around for the Star Wars universe, and to bring it back to its roots. Now, the complete opposite is what's happening with Kathleen Kennedy and her Acolyte show, at least for the 4 episodes that she has creative power over, as well as the Skeleton Crew series as well, so let's not forget about that too. Now, with that being said, Kathleen Kennedy recently had a couple of things to say to the fans, and it really isn't good. You know, we all know that when Kathleen Kennedy talks about the fans, as much as we have talked about this, you know, it really never ends up being anything positive. Let's just leave it at that. You know, there's never anything good that comes out of her when she talks about the fandom and how the fandom thinks about the Star Wars franchise and etc, etc. So that brings us to where we are exactly right now. Now, on top of that, with both Disney and Lucasfilm getting ready to develop their new Star Wars TV shows and announcing them at Disney Plus Day and D23, they also have Celebration and more. Now, in a recent interview with Kathleen Kennedy, she went on to talk about the Star Wars fandom and the backlash that Lucasfilm has been getting from fans about many projects before in the past. Now, Kennedy went on to state the following: "When I look at all the fans that are very opinionated about what we do with our installments, it actually begins to get quite offensive, and that it's the fans that voice their opinions too loudly that are to blame for how the fans begin to act against the creators. When we were making the KENOBI series, we knew that we were going to get some kind of backlash regardless, but it was our goal to not listen to the fandom at all while making this series. We had to stick to our own story, so we had nobody going on social media and looking at what the fans were demanding at the time. We wanted to completely ignore that because they always only create negative consequences when they convince the creators to do things differently. Now, we at Lucasfilm tend to get very aggravated over the fans' demands, and it's why myself and Leslie are doing a great job by ignoring the fandom, because it's what's necessary at this point to make one's vision wildly successful. We are doing the same thing with Skeleton Crew as a series as well. We find that detaching from the fans that are connected to that burden of George Lucas and his vision, that only then we begin to tell original stories for the fan base. I had detailed conversations with Leslie, and we were talking about this on the fans' impact on the creators, and there is no doubt about it that they are 100% responsible for how they create a product." Now, let me just pause here quick of what Kathleen Kennedy is really saying here. Now, the thing about this that I think a lot of fans need to be aware of is the fact that everything related to Kathleen Kennedy and Leslye Headland is that they themselves have said this countless times already this year, that they want little to nothing to do with the George Lucas vision or Star Wars Legends source material, and they're going to talk about that a little bit more in just a second before we get to that. Now, there's a lot of things happening with the Acolyte, and this most likely is why Kathleen Kennedy is talking in such a way about the fans, is that John and John and George have control over 5 episodes. They're calling the shots, they're telling Leslie what to do, and obviously this is bothering Kathleen Kennedy, and I think that this is exactly why she's talking such a way toward the fans. So, forward from all of this, we already know that Celebration of 2023 is going to be the big deal. It's going to be the event that's going to completely tease and unveil the Acolyte footage as long as they begin filming by this November to December if things don't get delayed further, and that's their overall game plan. And I think that's why Kennedy's a little bit more on edge recently, because she knows that her project is only getting closer to release if it is going to release. So, past all of this is where things begin to pick up, is that she goes on to say, it's in our best interest to make the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew quite something original, and staying away from both Legends, source material, and Lucas's vision. Now, separate from what Kennedy stated here, this all alludes to the fact that Kennedy is having a hard time with the fact that Lucas and Favreau took over 5 episodes of The Acolyte, and that these words from her could very well be an outward manifestation of her feelings, based on what happened with the Acolyte series. Currently, the series has been delayed a total of 4 times already, and likely to be delayed again, unless John and Lucas can fix things properly moving ahead. She also has a big grudge against Jon Favreau, after he recently got a big promotion over at Lucasfilm that gives him tons of creative power over almost every Star Wars project, in every format. This is something that has been bothering Kennedy as her future has sharply diminished, with her only working on 4 episodes of Acolyte, and of course the Skeleton Crew TV show as well. So, the other thing before I get to the next segment here is that there's a lot of things happening with Kathleen Kennedy. Number one is that they are doing a lot of changes, or making a lot of changes with the Acolyte series. And this is all being pretty much pushed by Favreau and Lucas, as well as Filoni to a degree. Basically, a lot of the plot of the Acolyte series has been shifted around quite massively, and you're going to get a totally different story than what was going to be originally intended by Kathleen Kennedy. So it is going to be an improvement, but do I still believe that this show is going to be a success as much as The Mandalorian? I'm not really seeing it just yet. I can't judge it because there has yet to be, a shred of footage released, but it doesn't sound good. Especially if Kathleen Kennedy is still attached to 4 episodes, it most likely means that the show could very well be very mixed, tones might not match each other tones, and it could very well just be a messy situation. So, the fact that we have Kennedy talking in such a way about the fans, and how she has the nerve to say that it's offensive for the fans to voice their opinions, and to change how the creators think and write their material, is quite crazy, because let's face it, Kennedy and pretty much the creators that followed her vision before in the past did exactly just that. She did not care about the fans back then with the sequel trilogy movies. She did not care about the fans when it came to the KENOBI TV show, and so on and so forth. So that brings us to where we are right now. Thankfully, anything moving forward apart from Skeleton Crew and Acolyte have nothing to do with Kathleen Kennedy on a creative scale. Now, as far as Andor goes, the only bad news about Andor is that yes, she did have a bit of a role in that, but not quite as much as Kenobi, which is good news, I guess, but still leaves you on edge. But anything moving beyond 2022 is looking pretty bright and looking far better than what we have gone through before with Kathleen Kennedy. So overall, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. From night to moon we hear them moans again.